28-year-old Alicia Beltran went to the doctor for a prenatal checkup when she was about 14 weeks pregnant, and she thought that it would be a good idea to disclose her medical history with him because, of course, she cares about her fetus. She wants to make sure the baby is healthy. She told the doctor that about a year ago she had an addiction to a painkiller. However, she had gotten serious about kicking the addiction, and she was no longer using any type of prescription drug. She thought that this was a good idea, but it turns out that the doctor in this situation told her that she needed to start on an anti-addiction drug, even though a urine test indicated that she didn't have any drugs in her body. She refused to do so, so a few days later, a social worker and the doctor showed up to her home, and she got detained for refusing to take the anti-addiction drug.
Okay, and it just gets worse from there. First of all, they bring her into court. They've got her in shackles.
Yep.
In shackles because
she's dangerous.
She made the mistake of trusting her doctor and telling him something that could be relevant to her pregnancy. And it turns out she was right. She wasn't lying. Like, I get it if a doctor could be skeptical, like, hey, really, did you kick it, et cetera? Did you kick the addiction, et cetera? But that at some point we realized she did. It doesn't matter.
She took a urine test.
It doesn't, you know what? They gave her 78-day stay at drug treatment center anyway, in the middle of her pregnancy. Okay, and you know what happened? She lost her job. Of course she did. How are you going to go away 78 days and not lose your job? She was arrested, shackled. When she got to court, they had already decided to send her away. What kind of court is this?
How is this? And look, this type of action is really pushed by pro-life people, right? Pro-life organizations, and I'll get to that in just a second. But what I find so interesting is that if you're so pro-life, why would you destroy the life of the mother to the point where she would lose her job and be unable to provide for her own kid? How is that pro-life? It doesn't make any sense. Now, the reason why they were able to do this is because there is a law in Wisconsin. It's known as the Cocaine Mom Act of 1998. And it basically states that child welfare authorities can forcibly confine a pregnant woman who uses illegal drugs or alcohol to a severe degree and who also refuses to accept the treatment.
Now, she refused to accept the treatment in this case because she had already beaten the addiction. And you can tell from the urine test that she had no drugs in her system. By the way, she did it on her own, man. And she tapered the addiction drug, like the drug you take to end addiction. She tapered it by herself slowly. I mean, she showed tremendous willpower in doing it. And nonetheless, she was crushed by the system anyway. Now, one of the reasons might be because, as Anna pointed out, they're quote-unquote pro-life. And when the social worker came in to talk to her about this, what she had revealed to her doctor, and her doctor, I mean, to violate her privacy like that and to give out her information, think about how damaging it is, right? Because then nobody trusts their doctor. And they don't tell, then you would be afraid to tell your doctor things, and that could be really, really dangerous. I don't want to get too carried away on adjectives, but I think he did something terribly wrong there. Then the social worker comes in, gets in a fight with her because she's telling her what to do, et cetera, et cetera. So at some point, Alicia gets mad and says, well, maybe I should just abort the baby, right? Mm-hmm. Now, she shouldn't have said that, and she wasn't going to abort the baby. She had gotten mad, justifiably so. Then sheriff officers come a couple of days later and take her away in handcuffs. Mm-hmm. Because no, we don't give a damn about you. You're already alive, right? But the so-called unborn child, how dare you? You think her comment there didn't have something to do with the pro-life people telling the sheriff, you better go get that kid, okay? You better go arrest her because she said she might do an abortion.
Okay, by the way, she's 14 weeks pregnant in that case, right? At that point, she's 14 weeks pregnant. She can legally have an abortion at that point. There's nothing stopping her. So she shouldn't have said that statement, but even if she did.
She has every right to.
She has every right to. So they had absolutely no right, no grounds to detain her, to put her in shackles, to force her to go into a drug treatment program, lose her job. I mean, the story, as you said, Cenk, just keeps getting worse. But if you think that Wisconsin is the only state that has a law like this, you're wrong. There are many other states. In fact, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Oklahoma, and South Dakota all have similar laws on the books just like this. And for other red states that don't have a law like this, they'll usually use things like murder charges to prosecute women. I'll give you a specific example. In Mississippi, there was a woman by the name of Rennie Gibbs who had a history of drug use. She got pregnant. She was not using drugs. She delivered a stillborn, okay? They prosecuted her for murder because she gave birth to a stillborn. They went to her history. They checked her past drug abuse, and they said, you know what, this is grounds for prosecution.
She's probably rich and white, though, right?
No, of course she's black.
And poor. Weird how when you don't have power, all of a sudden you wind up in shackles no matter what. But this is all for your own benefit, right? Because they're trying to protect you and your family. Except Wisconsin's Right to Life admits the whole point of this law is the goal of granting independent personhood and rights to the unborn child. In other words, it's not necessarily to protect that particular fetus, it's to push their own ideology, saying, well, as soon as there's conception, it's an unborn child, and hence, we can do all these things to you. You made the mistake of getting pregnant. Sometimes they're going after people for taking things like Vicodin right after they conceived when they didn't even know they were pregnant.
And by the way, going back to what Cenk said about personhood, in this particular case, what happened was when she went to court, her fetus had a lawyer. She didn't even have her own lawyer.
No, but think about how insane that is. She doesn't have a lawyer, and they've already decided what's going to happen to her before she even showed up. But the fetus has a lawyer. It's an upside down world, man. So she sued, and she absolutely positively should have sued. She sued because they deprived her of physical liberty, which is 100% true, medical privacy, which is 100% true, and due process. And that's the one that actually pisses me off the most. You can't bring somebody into court in shackles and say, you know what, your elbow has an attorney, but you don't, and we've already decided your case. That's not America. I hope she wins, and she wins huge. This is all based on ideology. It's not actually because they care about anybody, including her unborn child.